I was a Tamara guy though. Full disclosure.
Were you?
I like Tamara better. She's
I was always
Tia.
a Tia man.
I bet you were a Tia man. Just fucking teacher.
Here's what I'll say. If you look at them as grown-ups, Tia was the right choice.
I don't even know how they've progressed. Is Tia together now?
Tia still loves black people. Tia is still like down with the community.
Where did Tamara go?
Tamara went elsewhere.
You look so happy. You look so happy.
You look like you placed a bet. That's weird to be that happy.
He did. He bet on Tia.
So where is Tamara?
They ain't identical twins, is what I'm telling you. Because them bitches behave differently.
Where is Tamara? That's our spin-off podcast from this one.
Finding Tamara.
Finding Tamara. Voices in my head be telling me to go to church. They say the Lord is the only way for you to stop the hurt. Welcome, little mamas and Gentiles alike, to another phenomenal episode of My Momma Told Me.
The podcast where we dive deep into the pockets of black conspiracy theories.
And we finally worked to prove that Kim Whitley is Jack A. Harry. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. I'm David Bory.
I can't tell who you're saying I don't care to, but I love it. That's very good. Great. And also, I would like to point out that you gave me a lot of shit in one of our recent episodes for my selected quote, my song of choice to bring us into the episode. And you just did a R. Kelly deep cut for
I did a Chicago
yours.
deep cut for Josh Johnson. Don't do that to me.
All right. Fair enough. You
did a Swayze song. That was crazy.
And you did a vile man.
Listen, agree to disagree.
I think he's a pretty cool guy.
Also, did you have a Kim Whitley phase? I feel like we were all very affected by her character.
Nigga, I'm still in my Kim Whitley phase. What you mean?
Shout out to next Friday. That was
I would
good
go with
stuff.
Kim Whitley tonight.
Yeah, she could take me from my partner.
Come on, man. It would.
I would get Joe's.
Pick me up, Big Mama. Let's get out of here. Me and you.
Do you think she knows the effect she had on generations of us?
I do. I think that's why she's so comfortable being a silly Billy. It's the most beautiful part of her is that like she knows she's bad as fuck. She knows she's untouchable. So yeah, go ahead. You know what I mean? Yeah, I'll go ahead. Put on some weird pants and spray my butt cheeks, whatever she be doing. What? She's silly. She's spraying her butt cheeks.
I like it.
Our guest today, I imagine, I don't know when his Kim Whitley phase came and went, but you've already heard his name, and we're so excited he's here. You know him from the goddamn Tonight Show, from the Daily Show. You know him from his comedy specials. He's so funny. We're so happy that he's joining us. Please give it up for Josh Johnson.
Oh, thanks. My Kim Whitley phase was during Sister Sister.
There we go.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes Tia and would be on screen. I'd be fine with it. And then Kim Whitley would show up. And then Tamara would get on screen. I'd be like, what are you doing? Get out.
I can't tell.
I can't tell
if you're fully playing into Bori's bit of that.
Me either. I was hoping
Jack A being the same person.
Well, this is my thing. Right.
Yeah.
The one thing I do take slight exception to is doing the R. Kelly cut for Chicago for me, because it feels like if it was your birthday and then someone got you a murder weapon It's like, you didn't have to do anything.
Yeah, you
I was just happy to be here. And you're like, no, this R. Kelly is for you, Josh, because I know it'll touch your heart. The way that the way that it's cut together, it'll really speak to you specifically. You know why. I don't need to say it.
Yeah.
Well, I think that you take the message, not the messenger, in some things, and I think that we can all take from that line. Also, I couldn't remember a crucial conflict line. And that was the second funniest thing I thought could have happened. I was like, smoking is hay in the middle of the barn?
Yeah, hay in the middle of the barn. I think I did that one pretty recently.
Yeah, probably. You're a good representative of your region.
I gotta go regional first. But Josh, we're not here to talk to you about regions or Kim Whitley or your deep love for R. Kelly. We are here to discuss... Look, we can't dilly and dally on this all day. Josh, you came to us with a very daunting conspiracy, I would say. One that every time I think about it chills me to my bones. Bori, I don't know how you feel about this, but it gives me the goddamn shivers every time I think about it. You said, "My mama told me."
We are living in a matrix.
Tell us everything you know.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not the Matrix necessarily as in the movie from 99. It's more the Matrix as the concept of the movie from 99. We live in a sort of simulation. It's potentially impossible to break out of. Anyone who really claims to have broken out of it is not really broken out, because it would be like if you were watching the movie The Matrix and then somebody in The Matrix said, "Y'all, I'm free," but they're still hooked up. Like they're still, and you can tell it because there's no, like, when someone actually wants freedom, there's no cosplay towards subjugation. So if you want to be free as a person, you're not then like, yeah, I'm so free. I'm a free thinker. I don't care about anything, but I would like a Maserati. It's like, no, you're still locked in. That's insane. That's also why you see some of the richest people in the world acting like or thinking that they broke from the Matrix. It's like, no, you just don't have a bedtime or an alarm clock. Like you're free from the confines of like what keeps us socially strained, but you're not thinking on another level, and you haven't broken through anything.
You think the simulation then is that we live in is potentially escapable and still being like present in it? Or is it like the Matrix in that when you are pulled out of the simulation officially, your body ceases to exist? You're like eating mud pudding in the sky or whatever the fuck they were doing.
So to answer your question, there's a theory about the movie The Matrix that's like a fan theory that was never, like, it's not canon or anything, but it's basically that the entirety of what we're watching is just layers of the Matrix. Because if you remember the third movie, when he talks to the architect tells him that he's like the fifth or sixth Neo or whatever, like that he's not the original, that this has happened before. And if he's not original, if this has all happened before, and if the TVs in the background are playing all of the potential outcomes of the conversation that they're having, then there really is no way to break out. And one of the ways that the Matrix keeps you locked in is by continuously, quote unquote, freeing you. You know what I mean? By like letting you break through. But when he woke up in that like pool of slime, he was still in the Matrix. And when he was flying,
let's call it what it was. That was robot pussy juice.
And he was still,
please finish your thought, but let's be accurate on the podcast. It was robot pussy juice.
And he was still in the Matrix then. When he's flying around and he's fighting the Smiths and he's killing them, he's still in the Matrix then. But there are some people that in the line of logic that this fan theory had for the movie, there are some people who are those sort of like, I guess you'd say like heightened thinkers or more awakened or need a more elaborate ruse to settle themselves within the Matrix. And so that's what I mean when I say that we're living in a Matrix. I think it is a simulation, and I like this is not in the aliens territory, but the same way that there are so many planets and such a wide expanse of the universe that it's kind of impossible to believe that we're alone. I think that lends itself to the Matrix in that there are so many different outcomes of from moment to moment, and there's so many layers to reality that the idea that you can even get deja vu feels like a glitch in time. I should never get deja vu. I've never been here before, and I don't know this person. And why does this feel familiar right now? That's crazy.
Bori, where do you live in all of this? Because I think we're in some dense shit already.
I don't. This is a conversation I've had with a lot of people a lot of times. I personally hate this. I hate it. I think it's for smart people with main character syndrome. To be fully honest,
yeah.
Fuck are you talking about? There's a bunch of people here doing a bunch of different things. Because the thing about the Matrix is like it gives too much to like what's the point of the simulation? But at least within the movie, it's like a harvesting thing. Because you said like the Matrix. If we're going from what the movie is, he did get out of the Matrix. He was obsessed with it, and he went back to help people. But he was out of it. He was in the world. He was not of the simulation. Yeah,
that's why I use the fan theory to explain why this is one of the most persistent ones that I think about. Because for me, it's not necessarily main character syndrome because I don't think I'm like the one. I don't think that everyone is an extra in a movie about me. I think I'm the extra. I think that like I watch what's happening in the world and I'm like, that's too dumb to be real. I must be a part of somebody else's dream. Like I used to
underestimate how shit's just dumb, man. It's more exciting that way, but I think that shit's just dumb.
I mean, some of my life feels like it would make more sense if we were all just part of Pete Davidson's dream. Like if we were all, dude, think about it. I know you think you're living your life, but if anything, you're the one with the main character syndrome because we are all a glimpse of a dream in Pete Davidson's mind where he's out here living his life.
I bet there are like 3 black guys doing a podcast somewhere and
mentioning me once and never again.
And never again.
I bet they would. I bet one of them got a dog. That'd be cool. Okay, let me ask you this. It sounds like, Josh, you are a subscriber to us being a simulation.
No.
Oh, you're you're not bought in.
No, dude. If I believed it, I would be acting a fool right now trying to break out.
My behavior would be so much worse.
Yeah. If I thought that I was in a simulation, I would start simulating. I would start being like, all right, let's see how addictive drugs really are.
Yeah.
Maybe I can free my mind.
Right. That's fair. It does challenge one to start making some executive decisions about how you're going to behave.
Yeah, because you got to find out if you're the main character or not.
Damn.
One of the 5.
All right. Let's say you're not bought into this. Are you defiant when people introduce this idea to you? When you're like at a party, hanging out, and somebody's like, this is all fake, this is a ruse, whatever. How are you reacting to the suggestion of this being fake?
Normally, I ask them if they like their life. And if they don't like their life, I ask them why they haven't simulated a better one. Because if you are awake to the fact that this is all fake and it's all made up, right?
Yeah.
Then if it's all made up and you want stuff, shouldn't you be able to make up the stuff that you want, whether it's through the simulations rules of like hard work or planning or investing or whatever, or it's through breaking the rules, which is like, I'm going to use the power of my mind to materialize $6 million by tomorrow. It's like one of those two things should work for you. You should not believe in this and be broke.
Exactly.
This is why.
This is
why, like the billionaires who believe it, I'm like, yeah, that's why they would believe it. It makes sense that like Ye would believe that. It makes perfect sense that Ye would believe everything that I said earlier, because this dude keeps finding ways to lose as much money as possible and then makes it back in one album. That's not real life. that should not, that by everyone's rules, that shouldn't be happening.
Sure.
And so after a while, I'm like, yeah, that's, of course, you're the person that's going to think this is all fake.
Here's where I sometimes take issue with that, though, is the timing of it, right? Because I don't think that Pink Polo Kanye was believing in the matrix of it all. I think he got $1 billion and then he was like, this shit's probably fake. You know what I mean? Like it becomes a thing that rich people absorb because they become bored and detached, not necessarily because they started off on this wave and stayed there all the way to the end of it.
I completely agree, because I think the act of being new money and making $1 billion or having $1 billion valuation of anything you created is so bonkers that it makes you lose your mind, because you're like, guys, if I don't read and I have found $1 billion in life, and not the end of life, I'm not even old and I'm a billionaire and I don't read, y'all.
Yeah.
How did this happen then?
Think about those days where like you just get a bunch of new followers. You just have one of them days where like a bunch kick in all at once. My brain struggles to process that. You know what I mean? Like I'm just sitting there like, this is
like 16 people.
This is too much power.
Well, I'll pitch you this as an olive branch to the people that you think are very, very dumb, David, because
I don't know. I don't think it's dumb. I don't necessarily think it's dumb. I totally get it. I just like, it's like,
well, this is
like a summer school conversation. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Dumb adjacent.
Yeah. This is
a conversation.
This is at the park when you should be at work.
Yeah. This is like when you're in remedial English. And you're like,
You see The Matrix? That's a smart movie. You should really see Perfect Dark, because that's what it's based on.
So this is the one thing that I've seen in life that's the most like this that really was happening to people is people. This is not necessarily a type Venn diagram, but it happened more than you would think. Okay. People who thought the pandemic was fake, people who thought COVID was fake, but got COVID, but were asymptomatic. Those people going through their life were basically like, this thing isn't real. Then, for whatever reason, they had to get tested. Then when they got tested, they felt fine. And then a doctor or a nurse said, you have COVID. And they're like, what? And they're like, yeah, you have it. But I feel fine. But yeah, you have it. And then they were like, okay, and quarantine 2 weeks so you don't give it to anybody else. And they either did or didn't do that thing. More than likely, they probably killed a bunch of people. But let's say they quarantined, right? Let's say they quarantined for the 2 weeks, felt fine the whole time. Then they left, and then they went and got tested again to maybe go to some baby shower or whatever to try to be responsible, right? They go to the person again, they get tested again, and the person says, you don't have COVID. And now they're like, my experience never changed this entire time, and I already didn't believe in this thing to begin with. Those people that specific thing happened to, that thought that it was a hoax, I still thought some of them were very dumb, but I gave them more grace than anybody else because other people were getting sick and saying it wasn't real.
Right. Well, those are the worst people. Yeah.
Well, here's what I'll say is, and this is going to be a little bit more of a extreme take, but I don't think that it's healthy for any of us to ever be affirmed. I think that we should never be told we're correct about nothing, ever. Because
this is my favorite part of you.
At some point, we just turn into fucking weirdos and dum-dums every single time. There's not one example of a person who was like fully affirmed that didn't like get kind of fucking odd afterwards in a way that just makes it ineffective to be human beings around other human beings. So no, these stupid motherfuckers who were asymptomatic and cannot resolve in their head what asymptomatic means for a thing that they already consider false are being affirmed in a way that destroys the fucking planet. Kill them. Stop making them feel like they were correct about stuff.
I'll pitch you this because this is the wildest one. All right. So my boy that I tour with, right? Logan Nielsen, he's who I do my podcast with and everything.
Yeah.
His girlfriend is a nurse and he told me the craziest thing. He was like, there was basically, she was working in the COVID wards and she was like in the thick of it. She's like a ICU nurse, right? And there was basically someone who was dying of complications from COVID. And this was when this is like in the thick of it, when family couldn't just be right there with you. Yeah. So then they were calling the husband because his wife was dying, right? And calling the husband. And then they're like, do you want to talk to her? Because this might be it, bro. Like, they're laying it out as it is, right? And then this man said, it's all in her head.
Fuck. Whoa.
and that is how committed. Like when Logan told me that, I was like, what? Like he had to tell me the story, I think twice. I think he had to tell me everything again because I was.
Did you ever find out if she lived or died? What happened to her?
That's she not died, the issue. Yeah. I mean, that's the fact.
Yeah, but if he was right, do you know what I mean? Like if she comes back home,
I didn't think I could hear a dumber thing than what he said, and then you said if he's right,
come back home with a day bag.
A king. He's a king, though. If she comes back home, he's the king.
This nigga is the emperor of Smallville, USA. I told the bitch it was in her head. She got out the bed. I didn't come to see you because I knew it was fake, baby girl. Let's go get free wings at Applebee's.
Those are truly the most powerful people, though. Dumb people who just happen into being correct.
But that's what I'm saying. We got to stop making them feel correct because that's too much power.
That's the most dangerous person. He's the most dangerous guy.
That's a true villain at that point.
Yeah. Dude, I was shaking. I was like, whoof.
That's nuts.
It's one of the worst. It's one of the worst, like cognitive dissonant, out of this world. I don't even have anything compared to because even people who are just straight up racist, right? Even people in like neo-Nazis or in the Klan or something. If you really sat them down, they would be like, oh yeah, my grandpa just told me a bunch of stuff and I believe my grandpa because I love him or whatever. COVID was new.
Yeah, brand new.
It took 3 months to break your head. That's what kind of blows my mind with that. Like racism is so long and has such a rich history steeped in actions that people got away with that make you feel emboldened. And this is like, it just happened.
No, the closest thing we had to compare it to was the Black Plague. This shit was brand new for us, and motherfuckers were like, nope, not for me.
Nope. I get it. I like that. I get it. A month in, I think I see exactly what's going on here.
I figured this whole thing out. I think I'm going to stop washing off my groceries.
And not to fully digress into a different theory, but just because you mentioned it, and I'm sure actually I probably mentioned it because I brought it up, but my favorite thing that I watched happen was all these people who we had made fun of. I even talked about it in stand-up. All these people who we made fun of for over a decade for building bunkers and all that stuff. A global pandemic finally came, and then they were like, this shit ain't real.
Yeah.
It was actually crazy. The bunker people. It wasn't like, do you see what I mean? Like if we, the unprepareds, had been like, no, it's still not the end of the world, that would make more sense. But the people who always said that something was coming, that humanity was not ready for, and then something happened and they were like, but not this. Like, I'm gonna go get a haircut.
I mean, I think that's in all of our best interest, though, because had those bunker people acted like they thought it was happening, lots of deaths.
Yes.
Lots. They would have been killed.
100%. Because you know what it is the bunker people know what it actually takes to open up the bunker. You know what I mean? Like, they know that, like, man, if I got to open this motherfucker up, I'm shooting every motherfucker near me.
I'm airing it out. I'm airing the whole shit out.
Unless you're telling me I got to empty the clip, I am keeping that bitch close. This has to be fake because I'm going to kill everybody. I'm going to kill my wife and my family.
No, because they would be in the bunker. They would be in the. They could kill some people on the way of the bunker that might be standing in front of the bunker, but they wouldn't come out.
No, that's what I'm saying, though. I think they're going to murder everybody within like a mile radius.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
okay.
They're going to go on a mission
secure a
to
perimeter,
collect all the things that they need, secure a perimeter, and kill everything that lives in between that area.
Yeah, they're not hoarding bullets to not use them.
Yeah, they gotta kill spray something.
Yeah. I guess I'm just like I'm thinking of it from a way of like I watched Doomsday Preppers years before the pandemic ever happened, and all of it was like, guys, I got to get out of here, and they had a undisclosed location. So I definitely see them killing people on the way. But like, if it had been, let's say COVID wasn't happening and it had been zombies, I don't think they would have like come out just to shoot zombies for fun. That's like a dystopian movie thing. I think that you finally go ahead and get in the bunker and hope you can last for 20 years and that all the zombies will like stop moving by then.
Here's the thing. I think you're discounting the first couple days of this thing, right? That like,
fair enough.
In them first couple days, them motherfuckers might have opened the door and like been in there for a minute.
Yeah, flamethrowers.
And then they saw people outside breathing air, and they were like, "Nah, never mind. I'm not gonna."
Yeah. I mean, do you think then? Do you just? I'm gonna leave bunkers alone in a second.
Yeah,
but based on who we know of as the bunker people, do you think that let's say something happens and you really do need to be in a bunker or die for like a year and a half, right?
Yeah.
Do you think that after that year and a half passes and like the government finds some way to like send messages out again and let people know they can come out and stuff, and people actually believe it because it's like the president or whatever, and we wouldn't have, let's say it had happened in 2020, we wouldn't have the deep fakes we have now, so we probably would have believed it if it came on TV.
Sure. How
many of those people do you think killed each other in the bunker? Do you think that there's anybody left to come out? Because people will be acting like the bunker people amongst themselves don't get into little cliques.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I mean, when you follow a militia, dude, I've watched documentaries about militias, and some of these dudes, you can tell. There was a very funny one I was watching where this guy's talking, and you can tell his lieutenant want to talk, but he can just never get a word in. And I'm like, that dude, if it ever goes down, he's shooting that dude in the head first.
If he gets a chance to revolt.
Yeah.
It's the way I like what Cory Booker says, but I don't like that motherfucker. You know what I mean? Where it's like, I'm in the militia, but I don't want nothing to do with this. You know what I mean? Everybody ain't your cup of tea in this shit. And so it's just I think, it's very likely that there are people that would have probably did kill each other in their little basement huts, hoping that they could, outlive COVID or whatever the next pandemic is that's coming.
Yeah, because I just see like you watch some of these disaster movies, especially with a family, and I'm like, y'all can keep playing if you want, but like one of y'all is not making it out of here. Like in a family of 4, somebody's going to accidentally shoot somebody else. It's going to happen.
Man. Yeah.
And if it's not family, let it get down to the last can of beans.
You're training babies with rifles.
Is it a lot of not family? Is it? I thought bunkers was usually like family based or like.
It's supposed to be family based.
You have to keep it small enough to be sustainable for a long time, right?
Yeah.
Like, you can't have the whole militia over for the pandemic.
No. The militia thing is different. I just mean that like some of the people I've watched in the bunker situation are planning to bunk up with people who aren't family. So like straight up, it'll be 2 families of 3 in there. It'll be like my wife and kid, his wife and kid, all of us sharing the bunker, because you got to remember only the uber rich have like money for a proper bunker. If you got 2 middle class incomes, 4 middle class incomes even, you're not really building underground like that. You're not building and pouring cement on a level that's like we're gonna have space.
Yeah, that's fair. It's not you're saying these are not cartwheel sized bunkers. These are flat at the bottom of a slave boat bunkers for people to live.
Middle passage bunkers.
Yeah. Because dude, when did you graduate? When did you graduate college?
I don't want to say. It ages me quite a bit, and time has been accrued to all of us, Josh Johnson.
I'm saying when I graduated
maybe mind
college,
your fucking business, guy who is objectively younger than me. How about
saying when I graduated college, I only bring it up because I brought up the price of a bunker, right? And when I graduated college was when the world was supposed to end. It's when the Mayans were like, we're done. So I took out plenty of loans thinking like, maybe I'm going to learn.
Now,
and then,
were those loans taken out because of you felt this was a simulation and that's how you win?
No, I didn't think it was a simulation. I was hoping the Mayans were onto something because it was 2008 when I was a freshman. And I was like,
you were like simulation, that's silly. Now these Mayans.
Now look,
they had that figured out.
These Mayans could foresee everything except a white man with a gun. They saw a lot coming, and they've been right about a lot. And so I was like, man, what? And that whole thing brought me to, do you wonder if there's anybody who invested in a bunker and then 2020 happened, but then almost everybody lived? So now they're like, even in 2019, they're like, the family's in trouble. You're going into debt. The bank is going to take the house. Don't worry, something's coming, baby. Then they start to hear murmurings of like 2020 starts happening. COVID starts happening. And they're like, yep, that's what it is. Okay, all right.
I promised you, girl.
And then there's a vaccine in 2021 and they're like, fuck.
I don't think it has to even go as deep as in a bunker or as long term as that. There's people who are trying to make toilet paper moves. That it didn't work out 2 months later.
They're like, baby, my toilet paper boat has finally come in.
Yeah.
I told you someday this was going to be the real goal. Sterling silver this, sterling silver that. Charmin, bitch, that's where the money is. All right, we need to take a break. We're going to be, we have, I think, a lot more to unpack inside of this theory. We're going to come back with more Josh Johnson, more My Momma Told Me.
How did all of this trouble begin?
Living in America.
We are back with Josh Johnson and Langston's old ass discussing.
Hold on, still got it.
You're not even old. We're the same age.
Yeah. You're not old. Like you.
Yeah, you know.
Does your knee hurt or something?
Yeah.
No, I got kids, fellas. It just hits different once you become responsible for someone else's mortality, their existence in the world. You start to really feel every ounce of your age.
What?
Yeah, I'm sorry to tell you that,
No, but
Josh.
16-year-olds get pregnant.
Yeah,
there's a whole show.
Yeah,
and guess what?
Young as hell.
They change afterwards.
No, they don't.
No, that's the point of the show.
That's why the show. Yeah, the show is about
I didn't say they get better. Fellas, you're not understanding. I didn't say they get better.
I can think of 5 dudes offhand who got worse.
Yeah,
they get worse, but they are aware that they could die a lot more than they were a second ago. I assure you.
Oh, see, I've always been pretty aware I could die, though. Were you not a person you never thought about that?
I think I thought about it all the time, but I think then it sort of puts children put a timing on it that it makes it a little more complicated. Do you know what I mean? Like my forever now has a distance attached to it in a more objective way than it did before.
Yeah, I feel that. It's just hard to take.
I'm not going to be talked down to by 2 gentlemen who refuse to nut in a lady. If you
that's
cowards,
not what's happening, brother.
Until you cowards are willing to load up.
Let's back up. I'm shooting up the club. Relax. You think you're special?
Until you're willing to load up with intention. You do not speak to me the way that you're speaking to me now. Josh, finish your thought. I apologize.
Yeah, no. You just have all your hair and you you don't have a look of old.
It's in his heart, though. That is one thing I can confirm I do know about Langston. It's all internal.
Yeah.
Externally, he's doing fine. Internally, complicated.
It's torn up in here, man.
He's
so do you
tormented.
think then, okay, all right, that's interesting.
But hey, here's what I'll tell you. Both of your love keeps me young. Huh? How about that?
That's an old thing to say. Like that, like you, I don't think you were old until that moment just now.
Josh, Olivia, our wonderful producer, did a little bit of research as it pertains to your conspiracy theory, and then she shared that research with me, thus suggesting that I myself did any research. It's a real cool trick that we pulled here. Mm-hmm. But she sent me an article from Scientific American, that's legit. I think that's one of the real ones that we look to for research and shit. Where it's
like Scientific American. Scientific American.
Yeah.
I feel like Science America would have sounded more legit.
Maybe that's it. Maybe I'm thinking
Scientific American sounds fake. That sounds like the dude who has the theory made a website.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like coming from a sovereign stater. Scientific American. Yeah. I will not concede to this ticket.
If you had said Academy, Society, but Scientific American sounds like one guy.
Yeah, that's fair. Now that you're saying it out loud, I feel foolish for having trusted him so much. But a gentleman wrote an article where he explains that confirmed, ! We live in a simulation. And in the article, it does a lot of really, really heavy breaking down of like the logic of the simulation, or sort of like some of the fundamental scientific elements of the simulation, specifically as it relates to processing. He says that the real test of whether or not we live in a simulation is the size and speed of the processor that it would take for all of us to be existing at the rate and clip that we are, and basically does this weird computation breakdown of how the speed of light is evidence of that processor being large enough. And I don't understand the science behind it, but that is the argument.
Well, you're not a Scientific American.
I'm not a Scientific American.
Yeah.
I'm just a nigga with a gun.
Does this Scientific American explain like sleep and dreams then in the simulation?
He doesn't address sleep and dreams specifically, but what he does talk about as the second piece of evidence, his first piece of evidence is sort of like the speed of light being evidence of the processor being large enough. The second piece of evidence he points to is what he refers to as consciousness. He talks a lot about how consciousness in and of itself has no function. You existing in the world does not necessarily serve anything, or at least your interpretation of your existence in the world does not serve a greater good for the world. It is merely a function of being alive as we understand it. And
it sounds like what you say before you fight someone. These are crazy words to say looking at another person.
Yeah, that your consciousness doesn't matter.
Yeah, like it's the longest, most drawn out way to say kill yourself.
So he says that this consciousness serves no purpose unless it is being used to basically be the energy source for another being, for somebody that is either manipulating us and or allowing us to sort of live with our consciousness, that then feeds a bigger machine, which uses that for power or resources or whatever they deem fit.
Well, this is my thing that I don't get with a lot of simulation stuff. that really bothers me. I don't understand why it always has to be in relation to a higher, bigger being like a god or something. I don't understand why it can't just be that we are like the rocks are that way because they're that way. And the religious people say God made the rocks that way on purpose for a reason only God knows. And then science says that the rocks ended up that way over time because of the natural processes of the world. And I think that with these people who believe in the simulation, they're still being like, oh, we're like God testing stuff out. And then whenever he feels like he's got it right, he'll do the real thing or something. Or we are all 8 billion of us were one God's dream or something. And it's like, why does it have to be bigger? Feels weird. Because then you aren't explaining anything about the higher power that is supposedly what's running the simulation.
Yeah, well, how would it be smaller?
Huh?
How would it be smaller?
I'm not saying
like if it was like if there because it would have to be like it would have to have been made, right? If it's like a simulation, that like means there's some sort of a maker. So how would it be smaller than us?
I don't think it would be smaller. I just think it could be like a natural process of what existence is. It's like there are things that exist that I never think about, and I'm never thinking about them. So why are they there if I'm never thinking about them? And they're not bigger or smaller than me. They're just there.
There are some, I guess, theories that I've seen that make it less about each of us being plugged in individually and more to your Pete Davidson example, us just being like fucking, we're gigabytes inside of a larger image, a larger sort of like cloth of shit inside of one person's head or one being's head, but it's not a fucking person. And so I think in theory, what the argument would be is not bigger or smaller, but just not 1-to-1, if that makes sense, that they didn't need to plug 8 billion of us in. They just needed to plug one dude in and he could imagine 8 billion people in a planet.
Yeah, I guess I see how that could be a thing. I mean, the more now hearing that, I believe in everything about this less. I do think like actually hearing it from someone who has studied something makes it sadly sound a bit dumber than when it was just like a pop culture take.
Yeah, I mean, I struggle with this in part because it so easily feels just like a person who wanted, specifically a white person who wanted to detach from some level of humanity so they could keep rocking the way that they rock. Like Elon Musk being like this giant champion for us being in the simulation feels very much like a dude being like, well, I don't want to feel bad about what my family did in those diamond mines. So this is all just a ruse. There's nothing real here at all.
I feel like this entire time, David's take has just been right. Like I think that this is like.
I also feel that way.
I mean, but I'm saying as someone who like I've had people say these things to my face, and I just sort of politely let them talk, and then I would ask them the questions I told you I'd ask them of just like, well, are you satisfied with your life? If not, why? And why don't you just use the fact that you know that this is a simulation to change it? But I will say this, and maybe this is partially, maybe I'm too locked in to the Matrix to see, but everyone that I've ever met that has ever had a take like this, that I've actually had the chance to talk to in person, did not understand any deeper level of what they were talking about other than the surface level. Y'all, none of this is real. We're in a simulation. It's like Andrew Tate doesn't actually have an idea of what the Matrix is. He just knows the police are coming.
Right.
So then you'll notice he always says Matrix the day before he gets arrested.
Yeah.
Like whenever he's like, damn, where's my thumb drive? I cannot find that thumb drive. I bet you I'm going to get a call tomorrow. You know what? Let me tweet about the Matrix for a little while.
Yeah, it's a great way to not be held accountable.
Yeah.
It truly just feels like that. It feels like everybody's skirting accountability by being like, none of this is real. You're all falling for a big ruse. And it's like, no, man, you actually hurt. generations of people, and you're going to have to reflect in that.
You never see the opposite happen. You never see someone who's like made it, who believes this is a matrix and is trying to like break through for you. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Right. Because why would they? They like, if this is a simulation and they hit the top, what do they need to help you for? It's not going to get no better. It's probably worse on the outside. You might be an NPC
anyway. You might be a Mr. Smith anyway.
Guess what? Morpheus was broke. You know what I mean? Like, that motherfucker wasn't. That was his one jacket. Yeah. He had them little glasses because those were the ones he could afford. You know what I mean? That wasn't him being fly. That was him piecing it together.
Yeah. No, it's one of those things where I wish it. I think that the notion is like interesting, right? The same way it falls into one of the categories of things that I do find interesting, even though there's no proof for. One is like, I don't really believe in psychics. I think that there's either too many charlatans or just not enough ways to show that you're properly a psychic, or maybe there's some space-time continuum stuff that a psychic knows will happen if they interfere, so they just don't do it and they just live with the horror. Maybe that's it. But there's a what if question that I really enjoy that this normally falls into. It just never seems to fall into it with people that I like talking to.
Yeah, that's fair.
Do you know what I mean? Because the thing that I pitched someone one time when they were like, I don't believe in psychics or whatever, or I don't believe in premonition or intuition and stuff. And I was like, okay, at the time, Usain Bolt was the fastest man on the planet. He was the only person on the planet that we knew of that could run as fast as he runs. So if there's a chance that someone can do something in the physical, that they're the only person in the world that can do it out of billions of people, isn't there a chance that someone has a level of intuition that is so heightened that it almost reeks of premonition? And they were like, oh yeah, maybe. That's a great point. And so I'm like, that's my only case that I make for psychics that I don't even believe in, really. You know?
Damn.
And I want the Matrix to almost fall into that, but that's not a point that I've seen anybody make well. That there are too many layers to react. Like, there's so many things that can happen on top of things that could happen that I should never feel deja vu. Deja vu should not exist.
To that point, I was just listening to a daily article actually about a lady who's like this super smeller. Like, for whatever reason, her and her grandmother and, like, I assume generations before that just have like these insane noses that are so precise and intense that she can actually smell Parkinson's. That like she for years now has like effectively like 100%,
like a dog,
like a fucking dog. With 100% accuracy, not on some like, oh, sometimes she kind of like can smell it. And not only when it's been diagnosed, but years before the diagnosis, she can smell you and be like, hey, bro, I got some bad news.
What part of you does she sniff to get that whiff?
Good question. Great time to drop Smell Your Dick. If you got that ready.
Why you coming home? Something's going on. Can I smell your dick?
I mean, okay. First of all, how dare this person have this talent and not become a doctor? That's actually an asshole move when you think about it. If you have this talent and you go into accounting, you're just the bearer of bad news.
Where is she doing it? Like at the fair? Like where?
Well, here's first of all, gather around, folks. Come meet the amazing smelly lady. She'll smell you from a while away.
That's
you there, Michael J. Fox.
Oh, no.
Care to be a part of the show?
Wow.
First of all, she discovered this ability because she actually, and it's fucked up, she smelled it on her husband. Her husband started getting Parkinson's and he basically got a new odor one day.
Man, good for him. Said, he was like, see, I'm not cheating. I'm just sick.
I'm about to die, baby girl.
Can I tell you something that I think right now This is another conspiracy theory based off information I just found out. I have no facts. I have no basis in science.
Buddy, that's how we live around here.
I think that she got Parkinson's sneezes. I don't think she smelled it on people. I think she given it to people.
Ooh.
How else is she 100% accurate? I'm not 100% accurate with stuff that I know how to do. Yeah. Sometimes I trip.
That's fair.
I know how to walk. Sometimes I trip.
I don't brush my teeth every day.
That's different.
David.
No, I do most days.
Come on, man.
If it's a Sunday and it's a plain day, what are we doing? No. But what is the situation where she smelled it on her husband?
She smelled it on her husband. She basically starts smelling this new odor on him after a certain year. And he also increasingly becomes more and more sort of like his personality changes, as it often does with Parkinson. Obviously, the standard expectations with Parkinson is a shaking, but that's actually only I think it's 15 to 20% of the cases. And most cases of Parkinson's are just you losing mobility and, obviously control of your body, but it also becomes control of certain brain function. And so he was devolving as a person and becoming angrier and more difficult to deal with. Ultimately, they go to get him diagnosed. They discover he has Parkinson's. Then she starts smelling it on other people as time goes on. And then through a weird sort of mix of bumping into the right people and sort of trying to explain it to doctors that this weird correlation exists, a scientist basically hires her as a gun for hire to be able to diagnose people.
So then are they going to make a show? Are they going to make a show where she runs up on people and sniffs the back of their neck as you just got sunned?
This week on Sun, we're meeting with Chance the Rapper.
and whoever she's sniffing is just looking at her the way you look at a pit bull when it does that stomach growl. You know the growl that pit bulls do that's deep? It's deeper than a bark. It's other dogs can't do this thing that pit bulls do. Pit bulls can go but it's from the back of their spine.
Yeah. It comes from their haunches.
It's terrifying. Yeah, the person who wrote the article actually talks about the active fear that they felt while meeting with her, knowing that she had the ability to smell, this permanent, and because it's not just Parkinson's, by the way.
That's what I was going to ask. Could you smell herpes?
She sees that one. She's able to smell a number of different cancers and distinguish between them. She truly is just this weird miracle person.
This seems all right. If we're gonna go to the world of Hulu originals,
yep.
This seems like a dog that stood up.
Yep.
Like a dog that learned how to talk.
Yep.
and then they're like, oh, that's crazy that I'm a grown woman that can just smell all these diseases on people.
Yeah.
Exactly like these canines outside, those dirty dogs. Get those dogs away from me.
This does
those animals.
It very much feels like if Lifetime starts making silly programming, this feels like it's airing into
What do you mean starts?
Yeah, it's a six sniffer.
No, they make serious shit right now, Josh.
Some of it is serious, but every once in a while they make one where a man is so cartoonishly bad. I'm like, look, it's on all y'all for not shooting him in the first 8 minutes.
Yeah.
It'll be they'll literally make a man in the movie. In the Lifetime movie so bad that no judge in America wouldn't call you shooting him in broad daylight self-defense, even if it was in the back of the head.
Yeah, they don't follow by no rules of nothing. Where there's even
no character progression.
Humanity. No, it's just a handsome dude who don't do nothing but hit. And it's I mean, I think maybe he goes to work sometimes. They're like, no, no, he just beats her all day.
There was one where it was some real bad. They might not have been Lifetime, so let me not lie on them. But it was a movie that was like of that ilk. This dude, I don't know why they thought this was a good idea because it was like not based on a true story, but they had a stunt in the movie that was insane where this dude is running after his partner's run out, right? And is leaving him. So then he jumps off of the second floor banister onto this like dummy that they had clearly thrown before. So they try to make it look like he jumped off the banister to land on her, but they clearly threw they clearly threw
classic villain move.
Yeah, they clearly threw a dummy into the shot, and then he tried to break his fall on that dummy, and you can tell that none of this was like actually fight choreographed at all.
Yeah, they didn't work on it. They were just like, hey, here's what you're going to do. You got it? All right.
Because the way that actor fell, you can tell that the rest of the scene was shot on a different day. Like you could tell he hurt himself.
All right, we're going to give Steve about a week and a half to work the kinks out, and we'll get back at this thing. That's so funny. All right, we need to take one more break. We're going to come back and we'll wrap up with the little Josh Johnson and more My Momma Told Me.
I'd rather check myself before I wreck myself.
There it is.
There it is.
How do y'all feel about like when a young suburban white kid uses like slang fully correctly though? They'll say a phrase and the phrase couldn't be more on point.
I feel like it's like when you go to a foreign country and you have a terrible accent, but you say the right thing. It's like, hey, good for trying, man.
Yeah. Like you spoke
you
the
have
language.
an understanding of it. Like at least you try. Like I'm not mad at that at all.
There was one time I was, dude, because I live in Bed-Stuy, right? And one time I was just walking around the neighborhood and there was this little kid on a bike with his other friends who are on bikes. And then it's three of them, right? Three white kids.
Yeah.
And then one of them goes, the ops. And a second later, kids from truly out of nowhere jumped the shit out of them. Like when I tell you this little white boy, this little white child pulled up to a stop sign with his friends, having a good old American summer, and then looked and he didn't gasp, but you could tell he had a gasp in him because he just goes, the ops. And then descending on them were three other kids that just started beating ass.
Black kids?
Street, or?
Huh?
Were these black kids that beat their ass?
They were a mix of kids, actually. One was black, but they were really, truly the rainbow.
Hey, as long as we're the winners, I'm cool with it. Go ahead. I'm rooting for everybody that's black, including in little kid fights. That's Issa's problem. She don't believe enough. She's sticking it to entertainment. I do it all the time, everywhere.
It is funny to watch like 8-year-olds fight because they can't really hurt each other.
I was just going to say, it's so funny because when you were 8, the stakes were so high. Like, I remember kids getting their ass beat, and then you see 8-year-olds fight, and you're like, I think you just pushed them down.
Yeah.
Well, but that's the thing is like you would go home, like I would get bullied sometimes at school, and I'd come home with like a cut lip or something like that. And looking back, for as much as I got hit, it's kind of weird I just left with a cut lip.
It's not. It was a boy. It was a little boy hit you.
Yeah,
no, but I'm saying
I'm
also
mushy knuckles. They don't even fucking do nothing.
But I also felt like I was mushy. Like it was one of those things where it was like it's a failsafe in like biology that you can't be all hard boned and 9. But like it is just funny to me because the way I remember it in my head, I was getting my ass whooped for like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
But then when I came home, I had a cut right like on the tip of my lip.
Yeah, just little soft fellas hitting on your head.
The ops.
As it relates to this Matrix question, the simulation question, one of the feelings that I think I landed on, and the article sort of attempts to head to by the end of it, is the inevitability of it, right? That like at the end of the day, whether the simulation exists or it doesn't exist, what seems to be the consensus is that we are inevitably stuck inside of it. There's no true unplugging in the way that the film imagines that we might. And so in that way, it almost feels like it doesn't matter if this motherfucker is real or fake because we are participants no matter what.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that's what a lot of this is like. A lot of it is like, yeah, his life's kind of boring.
Yeah, or it's just hard.
Yeah, it just is.
It just is, and there may not be some, weird octopus robot that's, secretly dipping you in robot pussy juice so that you can power more machines or whatever.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of the sentiment that I feel like I started with, and why I use that fan theory about the Matrix.
Yeah,
and how Neo never got out, because I feel like the solace of believing in this type of thing is that it's okay if nothing works out for you.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you know what I mean? You know
definitely.
You know how like there will be someone, and I'm not picking on it in a hacky way. I'm literally just making like a 1-to-1 example. But you know how somebody will like straight up not have their life together, but then blame the planets?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Like, but that's not, but you, whether it's in retrograde or not, you steal. Like you like to steal.
Yeah.
You should get better at stealing if you don't want to get caught and you don't want to spend the night in a drunk tank. It has nothing to do with retrograde.
Or steal when it's not in retrograde.
Or start offsetting the planets. Like start figuring out a way to like work against whatever this planetary alignment that makes you steely and shit. Like you can't just keep being a victim of the fucking moon. That's weird.
Yeah.
The moon just whoops your ass every 3 days and you just gotta
Those people are fun too. I love it when somebody does something truly terrible and they're like, I'm just a Virgo. It's just I can't stop. I'm just a Virgo.
I don't know.
You got so many kids.
I've never seen it, just like with the Matrix thing, I've never seen it work the opposite way. I've only seen it excuse bad behavior or be a reason to avoid a person. I've never seen it be like, oh, well, they're a Pisces, so they're going to donate.
Right.
I've never heard it like that. I've heard like, hey, stay away from his ass. He's an Aquarius. Don't mess with him.
Yeah.
It's
always a fatal flaw inside of us that is the signature of our various lunar diseases. I don't know what we're supposed to even call this shit anymore.
Because you would think that if you're that bad off, it would translate into something pretty cool. Like, okay, maybe I'm making this up because I don't actually know the stuff, but maybe you're a Leo, which means you're full of rage, but it also means you're super loyal. You see that in the stuff. Sometimes you'll be reading the thing and people will write stuff like that. But then I'll be like, why am I only seeing the two worst aspects?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like you're because then when you hear people describe themselves, they'll be like, oh, I'm a Cancer, and so I'm just like this, that. But I also, I feel deeply. I'm an empath. I'm like, but you're not though. Like I know you.
Yeah.
Hey, you're not any of that stuff.
You have no empathy on me in this conversation because I don't want to be here. This sucks. I hate talking to you about this.
And moreover,
every time you come over.
with astrology being as theoretically advanced as it should be at this point, right? It's existed as long as the stars have existed.
Yeah.
You would think we would start getting more specific about like the qualities of each person and their months and shit. You know what I mean? It should be like,
yes.
Oh, you a Aries? You gotta wipe better, dog. You gotta get in there a little better than you be getting in there, Aries.
I'll tell you this right now. The only time I've ever been mad for them is when that calendar changed or whatever. You remember that? Remember when like 15 years ago when they were like, actually everything's wrong. So everybody's 8 days from when they thought they were. And that was that was tripping people up in life hard. Like if you believed in that, it would be like if you grew up with the Bible and then out of nowhere somebody was like, y'all, I'm so sorry. That's our bad. Judas was actually Moses. we messed that one up hard. We've been trashing the wrong dude for a while.
You know, y'all been listening to the remix this whole time. The original is a little different. The Ignition remix is the party song. Now, the original is slow. It's got a sexuality to it. It seems like if
none of us. No, go ahead.
Yeah, I think it seems like none of us believe. Is that what you were about to say, boy?
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't seem at all like any of us are bought into the possibility of the simulation being real. And moreover, if I may speak for all of us, it seems like we all agree that you could still work on being a good person even if you do believe in said simulation. You do not, that does not absolve you from your responsibilities to being kind and decent to the people around you, because fuck you, bitch. We all in here together.
Yeah, like that baby is not a simulation. There are people that walk out on their whole family and be like, you a bot. You a bot.
NPC.
Can I tell you though, I will say this, the only thing that I do take away from it that I know I've done in my personal life is that this is insane. You're going to judge me and it's fine. But almost every bad interaction I've had online, I told myself they were a bot. That's how I cope.
Wait.
So
whoa.
When you say bad interaction, meaning you are going back and forth with these people, and then afterwards being
like I'm like in my head I'll be like, okay, like super mean, unnecessary, not constructive, hurtful comment on my stand-up, that's a bot. Yep. When I used to use Tinder and they didn't message me back, I'd be like, that's a bot anyway. That's fine. And then if it's someone who I might have met, but I don't remember, I'm like, nah, that's a bot. So someone will be messaging me that I'm going back and forth with. But if we met once in Chicago, I'm like, nah,
that's a bot.
You're not real. That's a bot.
You got to keep you safe, you know?
Yeah. Don't be a bot.
Don't be a bot. Don't be a bitch. Don't be a bot.
And don't let the bots keep you down. Okay?
Call your family.
Just because they know personal facts about you doesn't mean that they're real. Maybe that leaked on the internet, you know?
This is great. Josh, could you tell the people where they can find you and what cool shit you got going on?
So I'm touring right now around America, and next year, maybe the world. So if you are looking to catch up with me on anything, it's Josh Johnson Comedy on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. I post new sets of stand-up every week, and I also have a podcast called The Josh Johnson Show that you can listen to, where Logan and I tell stories about our lives and just talk about things like the example that I gave earlier. And if you go to joshjohnsonComedy.com, you can join the wait list or let me know what city you want me to come to do stand-up. Stand-up like the stand-up that's on YouTube.
Hell yeah. Go follow Josh. Go listen to the podcast. Join the wait list, bitch. Get in line.
Wait, bitch.
Bori, what you got?
Cool Guy Jokes 87 on Instagram. Patreon.com/David Bori. Go buy my special, Birth of a Nation, with a G or without a G. It still might come up. I don't know if you type my name in. And that's it most. And we're going on tour. But
We're going on tour.
We're talking about it.
Yeah, let's do it now. We haven't really announced anything up to this point, but Bori and I are going on tour this fall. It's the Start the Steel tour.
Yeah, I got the date. I got the dates. You want me to read them?
Yeah, let's read some of them.
October 12th, Detroit at the Majestic Theater. October 13th, Chicago, The Den. Hollywood, California, October 17th at the Comedy Store. City Winery in Atlanta, Georgia, October 31st. November 1st, Houston, Texas at the... What? Is that
Secret Group?
Oh, this says Majestic Theater too. This was not right. November 2nd, Austin, Texas, Vulcan Gas Company. November 3rd, Dallas, Texas, Studio at the Factory. November 7th, Brooklyn, New York at the Bell House Theater. November 8th, Somerville, Mass, Arts at the Armory. November 9th, Washington, D.C., the Miracle Theater. November 10th, Philadelphia at the Punchline, Philly. November 17th, Cobb's Comedy Club, San Francisco, California. December 15th, Laughs Comedy Club, Seattle, Washington.
And guess what, motherfuckers? There might be some cities added. So if you didn't hear your city named, don't email us. There's no wait list, and we don't want to hear from you, but we certainly will let you know if we decide to add any more to this motherfucker. But most importantly, go buy those tickets. We have a link tree up. And you can follow me at Langston Kerman on all social media platforms. You can watch my special. It's called Bad Poetry. It's on Netflix, and it's doing numbers, baby.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know if anybody's watched it, but I'm grateful. I hope that you all will.
Me and the dog watched it.
Well, that's all right. I like that dog. And if you want to send us your own drops, your own conspiracy theories, if you want to prove which part of the Matrix my dumbass is trapped in, send it all to mymommapod@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you. Buy the merch, write, subscribe, email, rate, review, raw dog. Bye, bitch.
You raggedy bitch.
My Momma Told Me is a production of Will Ferrell's Big Money Players Network and iHeart Podcasts.
Created and hosted by Langston Kerman.
Co-hosted by David Bori.
Executive produced by Will Ferrell, Hansani, and Olivia Aguilar.
Co-produced by Bay Wang.
Edited and engineered by Justin Conner.
Music by Nick Chambers.
Artwork by Dogon Krieger.
You can now watch episodes of My Momma Told Me on YouTube. Follow at My Momma Told Me and subscribe to our channel.